then they can properly choose if they want more or less government or any particular program. In addition to that, allowing it to remove the tax cost, those embedded taxes, out of the cost of the products allows us again to sell those products in other places where people don't have to pay our tax cost to operate our state, but they would be able to buy the products made here. Another side note to that is the protection of the poor, protection of all households on their expendable income up to the poverty level. The Michigan FairTax, along with the National FairTax, both have a prebate program that is very simple and straightforward. There's no reporting to the government of what you spend, how much you spend, when you spend it. It is your choice, it is your freedom and liberty to do that on your own. But when you make that consumption, you would pay a tax on that item. To make it a progressive tax, to protect the lower income especially. But all households would be protected from taxation on their consumption to the poverty level. So a family of four, for example, approximately $27,000, $28,000 of expenditures that they would be able to spend, it would have no taxation cost. The cost of buying the product, the sales tax, the fair tax would be added onto that product, or any other tax costs embedded into it would be removed when that tax money is forwarded back to them at the beginning of the month, in advance, before they make their expenditure. This completely untaxes the low income. And it makes it progressive because all households for the same family size would be getting the same taxation money back, and yet somebody who continues to spend something way beyond the consumption level for their household size, the poverty level, then they would no longer get any more back than what anybody else is going to get for that same household size. So they would continue to pay an increasing amount of tax, and yet at the same flat rate. Whether it's the wealthiest person or the poorest person, the same household size is going to get back all their tax money to the consumption, on that consumption level of the poverty. The fact that there are no deductions and exemptions makes it simple, straightforward, and removes the tinkering with the tax code that we have today that allows people to buy political favors. The majority of lobbyists in any legislative organization, federally or state, the majority of those lobbyists are generally there to garner breaks in the tax code. That costs us all. All those costs of all those lobbyists goes into the products of the businesses who are paying those lobbyists to get some kind of special break. So it costs us all in the end to have that process go through. This removes that and makes it a flat, across the board, even playing field for all. We can make this happen through the Michigan FairTax if everybody does something to get involved. It is important. It will not happen unless people stand up and take a stand to do something to make this happen. Whether you contact your legislator, or if you get involved by going to speak to a group, if you make a financial contribution, all of those will allow us to be able to expand the message and educate people as to why the Michigan FairTax solves so many problems that the state of Michigan has by increasing employment in this state. It raises the same amount of money as what we're doing today, but it does it in a fair way, and it reduces the compliance cost, the waste that we go through every day to collect that money. It's not about having more or less government. It's about allowing people to see what that cost is, making it visible and not hiding the cost. You reimburse a business for their tax cost, just like you reimburse a business for their cost, say, of an automobile, their glass costs, or the rubber cost, their steel cost. All of those costs you reimburse that business for by buying their vehicle. That includes hopefully some profit on their end, but it also includes, like anything else, their tax cost. But you just don't see it. We want to make that obvious. We want to remove it from the business cost, and we want to make it obvious when you actually go to buy the product at the end point. So I encourage you all to get involved. It took many years for other things to happen, for the women to have the right to vote, for the Berlin Wall to fall. So many events that people said simply was not going to happen. They can happen, but people have to get involved. Michigan, in the current economic situation that we are in, is the best opportunity we have to make a drastic change. And it is a drastic change, but it is a simple change too. Simple, straightforward, and fair. And it is a more natural way of taxation that removes the government out of your everyday life and gives you your liberties back, the way that we did in this country for the first 130 some years before the 16th Amendment was passed federally. We did not tax people on income always. It is not something that's always been around, contrary to popular opinion. It is something that we need to go back to our roots and tax people on a more fair way based upon their ability to consume, which is when they benefit. We'll talk a second about that benefit. You do not benefit from the wealth that you have until you do something with it. You could have that wealth grow, which is great for you, but it's only future benefit. Until you spend those funds, do something with it that you garner some advantage of.